Hey guys, I've been conjuring up a theory about Saturn's moons in the last couple of weeks, and I'd like to share what I've been thinking about. Uh, so Saturn's moons have a bit of a mystery behind them. As most of y'all know, one of them is Titan, which is like the second largest moon in the solar system. But the weird thing is, Saturn doesn't really have a second big moon, which even planets like Uranus have, but Saturn just only has this one moon, and then the rest are like really small. They're spherical, but like basically just dead moons. But there is an exception. This moon right here, Enceladus. So, Enceladus is the second moon from Saturn, excluding the asteroids, which don't matter. Um, it was originally thought to just be another one of the dead moons, like our own moon, that has nothing going on. But then when Cassini flew by it, it noticed that there were jets coming out of the South Pole, ejecting water ice, along with like some other chemicals, but who gives a shit? And it was pretty strange because it's such a small moon. You can see here it kind of like bulges at the equator. It's not even fully spherical, uh, but it's still able to have all these geothermal processes going on. And weirder still is that over here we have Mimas, which is the closest moon to Saturn, and it has literally nothing special about it. Like, as you can see here, it's practically just a spherical asteroid. The only thing it's really known for is having a pretty big crater, which kind of looks like the Death Star. Oh my lord, I'm sorry, my mouse is... unfortunately, it's during the night, so I'm gonna have to speed up time so y'all can see it. I should probably go the other way, not gonna lie. I don't know how to go backwards. Reverse time speed. Okay. So, if I go backwards here, you can see Mimas has this crater right here. It kind of looks like the Death Star. But other than that, it's literally like the most pointless moon of all time. So Enceladus, to me, I've kind of compared it to another moon of another planet, Jupiter. Whoops. I don't know what the fuck I clicked on. Yo, can you hurry up? Okay, so this is Jupiter right here. Its closest moon, Io. As you can see, it's kind of a strange moon. It kind of looks like throw up, I guess you could say. This is because if I go to Jupiter again, if I turn on orbits, Io's the closest one, right? And the way Jupiter's inner three moons work is that Io orbits 4 times, and then Europa orbits exactly twice, and then Ganymede orbits exactly once, which causes like gravitational waves to go from the outside of Io, and then Io is also attracted to Jupiter on the other side, so it's like stretches the moon on both sides, and that causes like extreme volcanism. It's the most geologically active like planemo in the solar system. Like Pele right here, it's probably the biggest volcano on Io. So if we go back to Enceladus, you can tell because it's so close to Saturn that the same thing is going on, except there is no orbital resonance that pulls on it in the other direction. And there's also Mimas, which is literally closer, to Saturn, and none of that is going on. So why does that happen? Well, the theory is that when Saturn's rings were created, well, how they were created is that there was a moon that got too close to Saturn, and then it got ripped into pieces, right? But I am arguing against this theory. So if I were to open the where the hell is it? Planets. Right, if I open the Earth and Moon here, and then instead of viewing trails, we view orbits. We go to the Moon here, and something we could do here, which is basically impossible in real life, is we can where's the lock? Yeah. So we can change the speed of the moon, which will increase the eccentricity of its orbit, which means that the closest point to the moon gets closer to the Earth, but we're not gonna make it hit the Earth. The reason why this works is because of like radial acceleration bullshit. Oh, well, now it's gonna crash into the Earth. I kind of messed this up, so pause right here, and we're gonna auto orbit the moon, and there we go. Okay, so now we're gonna try this again, but instead we're gonna just use the eccentricity slider because it's more consistent. But for some reason it's going farther, so I'm gonna lock all of this stuff. Okay, so now as we increase the eccentricity, as I said, the closest point gets closer to the Earth, and once it gets really close, it will enter the Roche limit, which means that the gravitational force of the Earth will be stronger than the force holding the moon together. So it's going to obliterate the moon. Alright, so as the moon gets closer, it gets faster because of Kepler's laws. And I actually didn't make it go close enough, so I'm going to auto-orbit it again. Because, holy shit, I'm having a bad experiment day, I guess. Okay, so all of that stuff is locked, and then we increase this. Okay, so I think that will be close enough. So if I lock onto the Earth, so it's easier to see, right here, the moon gets really close. Okay, maybe I need to make... Okay, see? The moon got ripped into pieces, a piece of it fell onto the Earth, and as time goes by... Oh my god. What is a simulation? Okay, you know, we're just gonna do this with another object, because for some reason this game like updated or something. Who knows? What the fuck are these? Okay, so if I have the Earth there and then I put in a random moon really close, as you can see, it's getting ripped apart and it's forming kind of like rings, right? So this is what what caused Saturn's rings to form, right? With the current theory. And as you can see, as time goes by, the moon ceases to exist, or it doesn't, because Universe Sandbox is kind of not perfect, but yeah, it loses a ton of mass. There was rings at one point, but now they're all gone. I don't know what the hell happened. Yeah. Okay, so my working theory is if I have the I have the Saturn system here. Oh, there's rings on this one? Okay, whatever. So as you can see, they're all on the same plane. But what oh my lord, what I think happened was there was oh my god, so Saturn right here, and then there's Titan like out there. So with Lagrangian mechanics, there's a principle where if there's a thing orbiting right here, if you go 60 degrees from that, then the objects will remain like stable without colliding into each other. But of course, that is like really hard to maintain when there's one object here forcing its gravity onto both objects. There's also Saturn's and there's also the sun's, right? So it's really difficult to keep that 60 degree like distance from the other planet, which is what happened with the Earth. Eventually Theia collided into the Earth, and then it caused the moon to form. So with these two moons orbiting at the same position, they are extremely volatile. Like their orbits will change every single time that they pass by each other. And as this happens, they'll eventually collide. I don't know if it will happen in this, but as you can see, one of them starts getting ejected while the other one stays there. So this one is like slowly getting pulled away. It'll eventually, once it interacts with it enough again, boom, it collided. So in my theory, I think that one of the moons collided, but it was not a full collision. It was kind of a grazing collision. I can kind of show what I mean right here. So we have a random moon here, and then we can launch the other moon. Like, oh my god, I forgot how this game works. Jesus. They changed everything. Holy shit. Okay. So we have a random moon there, and we launch another one right here. Okay, maybe there's a grazing impact already loaded. Collisions. Okay. There's Earth and 100 bananas at the speed of light, but there's no grazing collision. Okay, here's a grazing collision. So the moon like grazes the Earth, but it still like exists. But the one that grazes the other one, this almost falls apart, and there's so much debris that falls out. As you can see, there's like a whole like circle of it. And this is what I propose formed the rings, while this one here got ejected out like the other moon in that previous simulation. And then if I put in Saturn here with its system, you can see with all the bullshit behind, the spherical moons of Saturn are Mimas, which is one of there, Enceladus, Tethys, Dione, Rhea, Titan, and then the weird one is Iapetus. As you can see, all of these are on like the same plane as the rings. The rings are right here with all these smaller ones, and then all of them are on the same plane. But then you get Iapetus, which is weirdly off of the plane. So Iapetus is interesting because it's the only spherical moon of Saturn where you can actually see the rings. The other ones, since you're on the same plane, the rings will basically be invisible. And something else that supports this idea is, as you can see here, Iapetus has a black side right here and a white side on the other side, which is like very puzzling. It's like, how the fuck would that happen? So this grazing impact happened on either one of the sides. I don't know what it looked like originally, and then that impact forced it outward at this strange angle, which is different to all the other ones, while the other one fell inward to create the rings and Enceladus, which is actually the newest of Saturn's moons, which is why it's so volatile to the tidal heating caused by Saturn, enough to form the E-ring, which, going back to space engine, the E-ring of Saturn, as you can see here, you can't really tell that there is a E-ring. So you have like the rings here, they're labeled like A through D, I guess. This is the Cassini gap. So, and then if you face towards the sun, you can see there's like this halo right here around Saturn, right? And this halo, it's formed by Enceladus. As the ice falls out of the South Pole through the tiger stripes, it forms the E-ring. And since the E-ring isn't like an infinite expanse, like it's finite, right? You can tell when it starts and when it ends. It ends right here. Instead of it being all the way out, you know, Enceladus is a new moon. Like, it hasn't been spewing out since like 4 billion years ago. It's only been doing this for a couple million years. And yeah, so that's the theory. Iapetus and the moon that formed the ring had a collision, which ejected Iapetus outside of the Saturnian system, and then the rings formed, and the portion of the mass that was outside of Saturn's Roche limit formed Enceladus, which also formed the E-ring.